Good afternoon and welcome to Como Live, brought to you by the Legacy Amendment. My name is Jennifer and I'm the bird keeper here at Como Zoo. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our sunbittern that we have inside Tropical Encounters. They aren't often seen, but today we're in luck because we do have one to our left over there. She's actually sitting on a nest and they have one egg. And typically in the wild, they would lay 2 to 3 eggs per clutch, but for some reason in captivity, they tend to only lay 1. Sunbittern are the only species in the Europygidae family, and their closest living relative is actually another unique bird called a kagu, who hails from New Caledonia. These guys can be found throughout South and Central America, typically in forested habitat that's alongside permanent water sources like streams and rivers and stuff. And that's where they would normally eat things like fish, crustaceans, amphibians, insects, things like that. Here at Como, we actually do feed them very similar to that. We do give them some baby mice, various insects like crickets and mealworms and maggots. We also give them some meat and also their fish. They prefer the baby mice. They're not live or anything, but they prefer those. And then mealworms are probably their next favorite. But these guys, as I mentioned, also you can ask questions if you have any questions. These guys, we actually have a pair in here. The male and female. This happens to be the female. They both look the same. However, since I work with them all the time, I can kind of tell the difference. The female has a little bit redder eyes than normal, or not normal, but than the male. And she's also seems to be a little daintier. It looks like the male is over on the other side on the balcony. He might come over here and check us out and see what we're doing. But he might not. We'll see. He seems to be a little more laid back and relaxed than she is. So she's got her eye on me. She's doesn't want me to disturb her. She wants to keep her eye on me. But so male and female both look the same. In captivity, these guys can live to be as long as 15 years old. It's not really clear how long they live in the wild. There's not a lot known about them. Sunbittern tend to be solitary or only in pairs, so you won't find them in flocks. They also tend to walk places. They don't fly a super lot, so it makes it really difficult to try to find them within forested areas. When I went to Brazil, I think I actually saw one, so that was really cool. We've got a question.
Someone would like to know which building are we in, or where can we see them?
They are inside Tropical Encounters, which is within the visitor center. So the way we have our one directional route set up for the COVID here, this would actually be the first exhibit that you enter when you first come to the zoo, which you also do need to make reservations online if you plan on coming to the zoo. But we are open right now, so that's great. Very limited capacity, but we can still get some people in here. Let's see. What else? Do we have any other questions?
Have they had other babies before?
Oh, yes. These guys have had babies. As I mentioned, she is sitting on an egg. It's due to hatch in a couple of weeks. They've been not super successful, and I'm trying to figure out why, but they have reared 2 chicks. They're really adorable. I just love them. The parents, the one we actually sent to the Minnesota Zoo, so the one is now over there. The other one I have in a holding area that's slated to go to the Bronx Zoo as soon as we get a little warmer around here and we can actually send them off. But we do have the one, so we'll see what happens. Yes, we've got another question.
How many subspecies of sunbitterns are there in the world? And then are there any kinds from Minnesota?
That is a really good question. There are subspecies of sunbittern, but I can't recall the total number, and I think some were combined and some weren't. But there are a couple different subspecies kind of based more geographically, I believe. So some And Central America is probably a little bit different subspecies than the ones found in South America. We do not have any sunbitterns here in Minnesota. In fact, as I mentioned, even though they have sunbittern in the name, they aren't related to the bitterns that we have here in Minnesota. So they're actually, they thought they were linked with the rails and cranes and stuff, but more research and stuff has figured out that they're actually not related to them, and they're kind of in their own thing. They're called a sunbittern because when they open up their wings and their tail, they have these giant eyes on their wings, and it's kind of that sunny color, light brown, orangish color. So I think they kind of think it looks like a sun. The big round eyes. They use those to distract predators. If predators come along, they will spread their wings out, spread their tail out, kind of lean forward and growl a little bit, and they'll also strike their beak at the predator as well. And then when they turn and run away, they will actually chase after them, making that noise and with their wings spread, and it kind of looks like giant eyes, as I mentioned, so that kind of makes them seem bigger to the predator than normal. Also, these guys will also do the broken wing thing. If there's a predator that comes close to the nest or the chick, the parent will feign a broken wing and try to lead the predator away from the nest. Do you have any other questions?
I wanted to know where the sloth is.
Where the sloth is. Chloe's in here. She's in her usual tree, and she's just hanging out.
Do they both take turns on the nest?
Oh, yeah. As I mentioned with nesting, these guys are one of the species that the male and the female will partake in everything. They both build the nest, which is usually made up of mud and sticks and decaying vegetation, and they will both build the nest. They both incubate. They both take care of the child. It's a really, family participation. And in fact, I believe they tend to sit on the nest in waves. Like the female will take it for a couple of days, and then the male will, and they kind of take turns. And I've kind of noticed that here as well, that tends to be what happens is one will be on there. They don't leave the chick unattended until it's at least 2 weeks old. Otherwise, there's always somebody there. I wish we could see the male, because it looks like he's over there. He's got his wings spread. There's some water that's dripping from the ceiling, and I think he's kind of bathing over there a little bit. But unfortunately, we've got this giant cahoon palm that's here, so he's kind of blocked a little bit. All right, well, let's see. I guess if there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But as I mentioned, this is our sunbittern. You can find them within Tropical Encounters, inside the visitor center. And if you are lucky enough to see one with their wings spread, it's a really amazing. You could probably go online and find it, but it's a really neat thing to see. All right, well, have a good day, everybody.